It's a movie review for David Cronenberg's Naked Lunch, which was released in 1991. So, this is based on a book by William S. Burroughs. I think the screenplay is written by Cronenberg. It stars Peter Weller, Judy Davis is in it, Ian Holmes, Julian Sands, who unfortunately was like hiking in the wilderness or something, and disappeared. And I think they recently just found his body. So unfortunately, he's dead. I wasn't very familiar with the actor. He's in a series of movies called Warlock. I've never seen them, but I know they have a fan base. So, and he's really good in this movie. I wasn't even aware it was him until I looked up later the IMDb, but yeah, it's too bad. Roy Scheider's in it. Um, so those are kind of the bigger actors in it. Nicholas Campbell was in The Dead Zone and Cinderella Man, but this is a very strange movie, like many Cronenberg movies, but this one's even more strange. Um, it does remind me a little bit of Videodrome, some of the themes. Um, Definitely. I mean, maybe like how technology can control and influence your mind. Um, but it's less so technology. I mean, because like his typewriter kind of talks to him. His typewriter transforms into like a bug that talks to him. The effects are amazing in this movie, too. They're really good. So I do have to give the movie that. I mean, I'd say I didn't love the movie, but it's an interesting movie. Let's, let's see, did it win any awards? '20 award? I don't know. I don't think it got an Academy Award. I mean, I think it should have got an Academy Award for special effects at least. What were the 1992 Academy Awards? Like, who got... Do they have a special effects? Best makeup? Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Okay, yeah, that makes sense, but Hook was nominated, Star Trek 6 was nominated. That's it. Should have got a nomination, I'd say. Best visual effects, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Backdraft was nominated, Hook was nominated. This movie also has great costume design, but yeah, I don't think it was nominated for anything. I mean, I think it should have been nominated for makeup, but that's not creature feature. That's on people, but I mean, costume design's great, visual effects are great. I mean, this is one of Cronenberg's best looking movies, I'd say. Um, but yeah, it's a very strange movie. Peter Weller's great in it. Great actor. I always enjoy Peter Weller in almost anything I've seen him in. Um, yeah, and he's basically like a drug addict like an ex. The movie begins like he says he's an ex drug addict, but he's an exterminator. He's an exterminator, and he uses this bug powder stuff to kill bugs, but people also use it as a drug. And his wife, he says unbeknownst to him, is using it. She's using it as a drug, and he comes home and he yells at. He's angry at her because he ran out of bug powder on his job, so his boss was pissed at him, and he almost got fired. And he says it's the best job he's ever had, and but then soon after that he starts using the bug powder drug, and they say it's literary, like it makes you creative, and because I think she's a writer. They're friends with two writers. He doesn't seem too interested in the beginning at writing, but then once he starts doing these drugs, he becomes a writer, and basically leaves his job. That's not really explained. He kind of just he gets arrested. The police come in to talk to him, because they think he's like a drug addict. But then he's like, no, I have this bug powder because I'm an exterminator, and I think they confiscate it. And then he doesn't really go back to his job. But anyways, and then he starts to hallucinate. I mean, what you think are hallucinations, and kind of like Videodrome. Once he sees Videodrome, he starts to hallucinate. You don't really know what's real or not. Definitely similar to this. I like Videodrome more, I'd say. But it's an interesting movie. It's based on a William S. Burroughs book, which I've never read. Um, Roger Ebert gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. He thought it was okay. He said it's like a movie that's kind of like a movie called Drugstore Cowboy, which I've never seen. He calls Roger Ebert calls William S. Burroughs one of the most pathetic figures in modern literature. His sadness made more poignant because it has been drawn out for so long. So, I don't know, maybe I'll try and check out that movie, Drugstore Cowboy. But, great effects, great looking movie, great costumes. I mean, I think the costume design, I think it's called, should have been nominated, and the special effects. I mean, yeah, Terminator 2 should win, but I mean, I think it should have been nominated at least, but, whatever. There's great effects. I watched an interview when they were on a late night show. The two guys that were the head of the company, I think, that did it. They used to work for ILM, so they worked with Lucas, worked on Star Wars probably, maybe Indiana Jones. They do creature effects, which makes sense. Maybe they worked on Indiana Jones. So what were their names? I think it was Dave Isaac. Oh, Jamie Heineman worked on this. Who, of course, is famous. Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, of course he's known for Mythbusters. So that's cool. But he wasn't the one being interviewed, but he worked on this, man. He also worked on episode 1, episode 2, The Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions, Flubber, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Arachnophobia. Yeah, the guys mentioned Arachnophobia too, so they worked on that. RoboCop, Top Gun. Nice. Um, but yeah, people on this have worked on a lot of stuff. Men in Black, Planet of the Apes. So, anyways, yeah, great effects, great looking movie, great cinematography. It's got this noir feel to it. It doesn't really say the year it takes place, but you get the feeling it's like the 50s, but in an alternate world, because although you can't tell if he's hallucinating, but it's like people seem to maybe eat insects and bugs in this, and there's a lot of giant insects. Um, but I don't know, maybe he's just hallucinating and he was an exterminator. And I read a review that someone's like, this is the bugs coming back for their revenge. So, but interesting movie. I didn't really like enjoy it that much, but it's definitely worth at least one watch. It's not a kids movie, definitely not. Um, although are any Cronenberg movies really suitable for kids? No. So, yeah, especially if you're a Peter Weller fan, I check it out. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a depressing, dark movie. I'll get into spoilers now. So Peter Weller, yeah, he's they're addicts, and he ends up shooting his wife, which apparently the author William S. Burroughs did. They say we're gonna do our William Tell routine, which William Tell is like this old Germanic story. I don't really know much about it, but anyways, she puts a glass on her head, and he's gonna shoot the glass off, but he ends up shooting her in the head. She dies. He There's a few other writers. There's another friend writer in his apartment. He then leaves and basically flees to this place called Inner Zone, which apparently was based on Tunisia, the Tunisia International Zone or something. It was a French ran province that William S. Burroughs, I think, lived in for a while. And this movie also has undertones of um is like Peter Wells' character, like maybe he's in the closet, like he's gay, and there's a number of gay characters in this, including Judy Davis's husband, who was Bilbo in Lord of the Rings. What's his name? Ian Holmes. Yeah, really good actor, and but so yeah, and then his typewriter starts talking to him and giving him orders on basically being like a secret agent, kind of, which is kind of interesting because in Videodrome, I think there's part of that too. Like he uses James Bond's gun, and also he's being controlled by whatever that optical company that also makes like military weapons and other things. And in this, he's being talked to by his typewriter, who turns into this bug typewriter and basically gives him orders. And one of the orders is to act like a homosexual and then infiltrate this group, because he says that they are controlled by another group. What are they called? I think they're just called Inner Zone. And the typewriter even mentions that later he could have a career at the CIA. So, so yeah, it's an interesting movie. I mean, great cast. Roy Scheider plays a doctor who then comes back at the end, and he gives him this stuff that he says will help him get off of his drug addiction. Um, he's basically, yeah, like Roger Ebert calls him a quack doctor and drug dealer, and Ian Holmes and Julian Sands are inhabitants of Inner Zone. Davies as the wife is playing, okay, she was in Barton Fink in a performance so different from the first. But yeah, Ebert's review of this is really good. He says, "But I'm spinning in my wheels here, maybe to avoid the paradox of this film. While I admired it in an abstract way, I felt repelled by the material on a visceral level. There is so much dryness, death, and despair, and a life spinning out itself out with no joy. Burroughs inhabits the madhouse of his mind, and as he is addressed by bugs and phantoms, and the specter of his murdered wife." Yeah, who then, when he goes to Inner Zone, he meets her. She's married to Ian Holmes, but it's the same actress, and it's like, okay, so is that his wife? But it's like a different person, but she looks, basically acts exactly the same. Specter of his murdered wife. The most horrifying thing of all is that he reacts in the same detached, cold way. All except for a moment of grief, he permits himself over her dead body, which is at the end. One suspects he could have cried out with the same rage and hurt all of his life. Yeah, it's very strange. And the Peter Weller plays basically William S. Burroughs. So the book's basically about himself because he killed his wife. He lived in French International Zone, which is Tunisia now. So the character is this is Roger Ebert. The character is an unsuccessful writer who has turned to, I'll just say adult things. I don't. And of course, Burroughs did much of his now acclaimed work in that genre, including Naked Lunch. His days when they are not spent in, and yeah, he drinks a lot. He's doing a bunch of different drugs. Um, yeah, like total debauchery and desultory work are experiments with bug powder and other substances are devoted to aimless sessions of cynical talk, delivered in perfunctory monosyllabuses. During one such evening, he and his wife perform their celebrated William Tell party trick, during which he shoots things off her head with a pistol. This night, he is a bad shot, and the bullet hits her square in the forehead. Such a tragedy actually did occur. Burroughs did accidentally shoot his wife, although apparently he did not read her death as a warning that maybe he should cut back on the old bug powder. Yeah, but he either did Peter Weller in this. In the film, her death opens the yawning pits of paranoia and schizophrenia for the author, who begins to hallucinate that his wife is still before him, who thinks he is being investigated by Inner Zone, and whose typewriters turn into large bugs that communicate through their pulsating butts, basically. Um, yeah, yeah, and the typewriter does that, and Ian Holmes has another typewriter and he lets him borrow it. Then, and Ian Holmes is apparently secretly working for Interzone, so he's a secret agent for Interzone, and they say his wife is, and Peter Weller is a secret agent. I don't know if they ever say like the group, but I guess it's an American group, like the CIA, because the typewriter mentions the CIA. So he's like, "Oh, you should get it. You can get a job at the CIA later if you want." So I guess it's the CIA, and and then when he brings the other typewriter home, the nor the typewriter he had before, uh, which has been communicating to him and giving him orders, destroys the other typewriter and says it's not safe for him to have that. Like he's being spied on by the other typewriter. And then later he ends up getting another typewriter um, that like turns into this alien looking creature that emits this liquid that he drinks when it likes what he's writing, and that gives him creative thoughts. So it emits a drug that he drinks. So I'm reading the Ebert review. The film opens with William Lee making one of his periodic attempts to go straight. He has kicked drugs, he claims, and is gleefully employed as an insect exterminator. But his wife, Judy Davis, is addicted to the drug powder, and so is Bill, to the extent that millions of cockroaches owe him their lives. But yeah, it's an interesting movie. It's I don't really want to go through the plot totally because it's so weird. There's a post on Reddit that talks about the end that's kind of interesting. So I just finished watching this movie, and I have to say I was stunned by all the weirdness in the movie, and yet it was the very reason that I couldn't stop watching. I did have some questions about the ending, though. Spoilers, yeah. When the doctor at the end agrees to make a deal with Bill, and with a Bill, yeah, who's played by Roy Scheider, who was basically masquerading in a suit of a woman, who was the I think they say it's like their maid. Um, but then he rips off the suit, and it's Roy Scheider at the end, and he makes a deal with Bill, and then Bill says, "Well, I want my wife with me because I can't write without her." So then he says, "Okay," and he says, "You need to go to a new area called Annexia," and then he goes there. And then they stop by guards, and he stopped by guards at the border, and the guards ask Bill to prove that he is a writer, and he proves it by shooting his wife, like he did earlier in the film. The man still loves his wife, we see from his tears, and explained previously that she is the only person that can make me write, or something akin to her being his only inspiration. So my thought was that, though the sorcery witchcraft of the character in this story, they brought back from death his wife so he could re-kill her, which would instill the inspiration he needs to continue writing, which is why the guards let him in after he does so. And he's like, am I reading this correctly? Yeah, I think it's something like that. I don't know. If anyone has seen this movie and is watching this, comment in the comment section, maybe what you think the ending means. I think that's spot on what it means. But yeah, it's an interesting movie to look into and dissect. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and that's it.